Hey everyone, today we're diving into a story that's both mysterious and unsettling. In this episode, we're looking at the sudden disappearance of bride-to-be Amy Grace Harrington just 48 hours before her grand wedding, and how her groom's hidden past came to light. Amy, 29, vanished right before her lavish wedding, leaving everyone, her family, friends, and the whole city stunned. What started as a simple disappearance quickly turned into a tangled web of secrets, revealing a hidden side of someone who appeared to be all about love and respectability. Amy was a lively and successful art curator at the Gibbs Museum of Art. Well liked by her colleagues and cherished by a wide circle of friends, her bright smile and friendly nature made her a favorite in Charleston's social scene. According to her best friend and maid of honor, Isabella Chen, Amy was the kind of person who could make friends with anyone. Her enthusiasm for life was truly infectious. Amy had been busy planning her dream wedding to 34-year-old Alan James Edwards, an investment banker who had moved to Charleston from Boston 2 years before. Their fast-paced romance had caught everyone's attention, and they were often called the golden couple. Alan, with his tall, athletic build and charming demeanor, seemed to be the perfect match for Amy's gentle personality. They met at a fundraising gala for the Charleston Symphony Orchestra. Amy, who was involved with several local cultural organizations, was immediately drawn to Alan's apparent sophistication and generosity. Their relationship was intense from the start, and within a year, Alan proposed during a romantic hot air balloon ride over the city. As the wedding day neared, Charleston was abuzz with excitement. The ceremony was set to take place at the beautiful White Point Garden. With its grand oak trees and views of Charleston Harbor providing a fairy tale setting, Amy's parents, Richard and Margaret Harrington, who were well respected in Charleston society, had spared no expense to make sure their daughter's big day was perfect. But on the morning of Day T 2023, just 2 days before the wedding, Amy disappeared without a trace. Her vanishing act sent shockwaves through the community and started a chain of events that would reveal long-hidden secrets. The last person to see Amy was her mother, Margaret. They had spent the previous evening at a final dress fitting and then had a quiet dinner at an upscale restaurant. Margaret remembered that Amy seemed distracted during their meal. She was constantly checking her phone and seemed a bit on edge. When Margaret asked, Amy just brushed it off as pre-wedding nerves. They said their goodbyes around 10 p.m., with Amy heading back to the downtown apartment she shared with Alan. The alarm was raised the next morning when Amy didn't show up for brunch with her bridesmaids at the Harbinger Cafe. Calls to her phone went straight to voicemail, and Isabella Chen found no one at Amy's apartment when she went to check. Alan, who claimed he had been away on a bachelor weekend with friends in Myrtle Beach, said he had talked to Amy late the night before, and that everything seemed fine. As hours turned into days, the Charleston Police Department started a full-scale investigation. Detective Marcus Rodriguez, with 15 years of experience, took charge of the case. His gut told him this was more than just a missing persons case, and he was determined to find out what really happened. The investigation began with a detailed search of Amy and Alan's apartment, a stylish loft in a historic building on King Street. The place showed no signs of struggle or forced entry, but detectives found that Amy's passport, a significant amount of cash, and her favorite piece of jewelry, a vintage Cartier watch from her grandfather, were missing. Interviews with family and friends painted a picture of a woman excited about her future, but also stressed by the wedding preparations. Isabella Chen shared that Amy had confided in her about feeling overwhelmed by the wedding and Alan's demanding nature. She loved him, but sometimes it seemed like she was trying too hard to please him, Isabella told Detective Rodriguez. As the investigation continued, suspicion naturally turned toward Alan Edwards. Initially, Alan was cooperative, but his calm demeanor during his fiance's disappearance seemed strange to many. He insisted he had been in Myrtle Beach for his bachelor party, a claim initially supported by his groomsmen. However, as Detective Rodriguez delved deeper into Alan's background, inconsistencies started to surface. His supposed successful career in Boston seemed to have gaps and vague details. Former colleagues in Boston were evasive about Alan's time there, and no one could provide clear information about his work or personal life. The case took a turn when Detective Rodriguez received a call from a detective in Seattle, Washington. The officer in Seattle had seen news reports about Amy's disappearance and recognized Alan from an old case file. In Seattle, Alan had used the name Andrew Pearson and was a person of interest in the disappearance of his girlfriend, Susan Mitchell, 4 years earlier. Although he was never charged due to lack of evidence, Andrew Pearson had vanished shortly after Susan's disappearance, leaving behind a trail of debts and unanswered questions. This discovery rocked Charleston. The seemingly charming and successful Alan Edwards was not who he claimed to be. As the news spread, more information surfaced a waiter at a local upscale restaurant, remembered overhearing a heated conversation between Amy and Alan just 2 weeks before her disappearance. The waiter recalled that Amy had confronted Alan about inconsistencies in his past, demanding to know why she couldn't find any records of his time in Boston. With this new lead, police obtained a warrant to search Alan's office and car. In a hidden compartment in his vehicle, they found a burner phone and a large sum of cash. The phone contained messages indicating Alan had been planning to leave Charleston suddenly. One message read, "Exit strategy in place. I'm to ghost." As the evidence against Alan piled up, he disappeared, missing a scheduled interview with Detective Rodriguez. His sudden vanishing act only deepened the suspicion. The search for both Amy and Alan expanded beyond Charleston, turning into a multi-state manhunt. The Charleston community rallied around the Harrington family. Vigils were held at White Point Garden, the location where Amy and Alan were supposed to marry. The once joyful anticipation of a wedding had turned into a somber gathering, filled with hope and prayer for Amy's safe return. Weeks turned into months with no sign of Amy. This drew national attention, with major news networks covering the story of the missing bride and her deceptive groom. Amy's face appeared on billboards across the country, and a dedicated tip line was set up to handle potential leads. As the investigation continued, a clearer picture of Alan's past emerged. He had left a trail of broken hearts and empty bank accounts across several states. In each place, he had taken on a new identity, blending into wealthy social circles before disappearing with money and valuables. It seemed Amy was just his latest victim in a long con game. The impact on Charleston was profound. The city, known for its genteel manners and close-knit community, now had to face the unsettling truth that a predator had been among them. Trust within the community was shaken, and many began to question how well they really knew their neighbors and friends. 6 months after Amy's disappearance, a potential breakthrough came from an unexpected source. A kayaker in the Francis Marion National Forest, about an hour north of Charleston, discovered an abandoned campsite. Among the items was a vintage Cartier watch that matched the description of Amy's missing timepiece. This find reignited the search, with volunteers and law enforcement scouring the vast forest for any sign of Amy. The forest search uncovered more. A discarded cell phone, later confirmed to be the burner phone from Alan's car, was found near a swampy area. Forensic analysis of the phone provided crucial information, including GPS data that helped investigators trace Alan's movements in the days following Amy's disappearance. As autumn arrived in Charleston, the Harrington family faced the painful task of marking what should have been Amy's 30th birthday. The community once again rallied, this time for a benefit art auction at the Gibbs Museum of Art. The event aimed to raise funds for the ongoing search and support organizations assisting victims of fraud and deception. The new year brought a major development. A woman in Phoenix, Arizona, contacted the police after seeing a rerun of a national news story about Amy's disappearance. She claimed a man fitting Alan's description had been working at her financial services company under the name Christopher Bennett for the past 4 months. Phoenix police acted swiftly, apprehending the man as he left his apartment for work. The arrest of Alan Edwards, also known as Andrew Pearson, and Christopher Bennett was a bittersweet moment for those involved in the case. While it was a relief to see the man responsible for so much pain finally in custody, the primary question remained unanswered. Where was Amy? Alan's arrest and extradition to South Carolina marked the beginning of a new phase in the investigation. Despite overwhelming evidence of his fraudulent past, Alan initially maintained his innocence regarding Amy's disappearance. However, as prosecutors built their case, combining financial fraud charges with evidence related to Amy's case, Alan's resolve began to waver. In a surprising twist, Alan agreed to a plea deal in exchange for avoiding the death penalty. He would plead guilty to fraud charges and disclose the location of Amy's remains. The news caused a wave of anguish in Charleston, as any hope for Amy's survival was shattered. Alan confessed that he had panicked when Amy confronted him about his past. Fearing exposure of his true identity and the collapse of his life in Charleston, he had drugged Amy and driven her to a remote spot in the Francis Marion National Forest. There, in a desperate act of self-preservation, he took her life and buried her in a shallow grave. But the pain of her loss remained. The vibrant art curator, who had touched so many lives, was gone, leaving behind a legacy of creativity and a stark reminder of the dangers hidden behind charming facades. Alan James Edwards was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As he was led from the courtroom, Amy's family, friends, and the city watched in silent judgment, grappling with the senseless loss of a beloved daughter of Charleston. In the aftermath of the trial, Charleston began the difficult journey of healing. A Harrington family established the Amy Grace Foundation to support background checks for engaged couples and raise awareness about relationship fraud. The Gibbs Museum of Art created a permanent exhibition in Amy's memory, showcasing emerging artists and reflecting her passion for art and culture. The case of Amy Grace Harrington became a cautionary tale not just for Charleston, but for communities nationwide. It highlighted how easily people can create false identities in the digital age and the devastating effects of unchecked deception. Over the years, the case of Amy and Alan became part of Charleston's lore, discussed in ghost tours and true crime podcasts. For those who knew and loved Amy, she remained a vivid memory, a bright light extinguished too soon, a reminder of the preciousness of truth and the power of a community united in the face of tragedy. The case also sparked important conversations about trust, vulnerability, and the need for vigilance in personal relationships. The case led to significant changes in how local businesses conducted background checks and increased support for organizations that assist victims of fraud and deception. In a poignant tribute, the College of Charleston established the Amy Grace Harrington Scholarship for aspiring curators and art historians, ensuring that her passion for art would inspire future generations. Each year, as students learned about the scholarship's namesake, Amy's story was recounted, serving as both a cautionary tale and an inspiration. Detective Marcus Rodriguez, deeply moved by the case, became an advocate for improved interstate cooperation in missing persons investigations. He frequently spoke at law enforcement conferences, using the Harrington case as a powerful example of how diligent detective work and community involvement could lead to justice. As Charleston continued to attract visitors with its historic charm and Southern hospitality, the legacy of Amy Grace Harrington became a part of the city's intricate history. It served as a stark reminder that even in the most picturesque settings, darkness could lurk beneath the surface. Yet it also stood as a testament to the community's resilience, the ongoing quest for justice, and the enduring bonds of love and memory that outlast even the most tragic circumstances. The ripple effects of Amy's case reached far beyond Charleston. True crime enthusiasts across the country were captivated by the story, leading to numerous books, documentaries, and podcasts exploring the case. While some saw this as exploitation, others believed that keeping Amy's story alive could help prevent similar tragedies in the future. The investigation into Alan's past continued long after his conviction. Detectives in several states reopened cold cases, suspecting links to Alan's various aliases. This renewed focus led to the resolution of 2 other missing persons cases, bringing closure to families who had been searching for answers for years. In Charleston, the annual Spoleto Festival USA, a 17-day arts event that Amy had passionately supported, created a special series dedicated to themes of trust, deception, and resilience through various art forms. The series, titled Echoes of, became one of the festival's most popular and thought-provoking attractions. The legal community also felt the impact of the case. Law schools across the country began using the Harrington case as a study in the complexities of modern crime investigation, especially in relation to identity fraud and interstate criminal activity. The case highlighted the need for better cooperation between jurisdictions and more advanced tools for background checks. On the 2nd anniversary of Amy's disappearance, Charleston City Council passed Amy's Law, which mandated stricter background checks for individuals seeking to join boards of local nonprofit organizations. This legislation aimed to prevent people with fraudulent backgrounds from holding positions of trust within the community. The Harrington family, despite still grappling with their loss, found purpose in their advocacy work. Richard Harrington became a frequent speaker at colleges, warning young adults about the dangers of online dating and the importance of thoroughly vetting potential partners. Margaret Harrington focused on supporting other families of missing persons, providing emotional support and practical advice on navigating the complex world of criminal investigations. Isabella Chin, still haunted by the loss of her best friend, channeled her grief into creating a support group for friends and family members of victims of relationship fraud. The group, which began in Charleston, quickly expanded to chapters across the country, offering a much-needed space for those affected. As technology evolved, so did the methods used by con artists like Alan Edwards. The Amy Grace Foundation partnered with tech companies to develop more advanced background check tools, making it easier for individuals to verify the identities and backgrounds of people they met online or in person. The art world, which had been Amy's passion, continued to honor her memory. An annual art competition named The Amy was established to showcase works exploring themes of identity, trust, and resilience. The competition attracted entries from artists worldwide and became a prestigious event in the contemporary art scene. In the quiet moments after the media frenzy had faded and the immediate shock had passed, those who knew Amy found solace in remembering the joy she had brought to their lives. Friends would gather at her favorite spots in Charleston, the waterfront park where she loved to sketch, a cafe where she'd spend hours discussing art and life, and the gallery where she had curated her first exhibition. In these moments, they kept her spirit alive, sharing stories and laughter, and remembering the Amy who had touched their lives so profoundly. The case also had a lasting impact on wedding culture in Charleston and beyond. Couples began approaching engagements and wedding planning with increased caution, premarital background checks became more common, and many couples opted to extend their engagements to allow for a deeper understanding of their partners. Wedding planners in the city even started offering verification services as part of their packages, reflecting how deeply the Harrington case had influenced societal norms. As time passed, Charleston's relationship with the Amy Harrington case evolved. While the initial shock and grief had subsided, the case's impact continued to resonate throughout the community and beyond. The Gibbs Museum of Art, where Amy had worked, created a permanent installation called Echoes of Grace. In her honor, this multimedia exhibit showcased Amy's curatorial work and explored themes of identity, trust, and the human capacity for both deception and resilience. The exhibit became a must-see for visitors to Charleston, serving as both a memorial and a thought-provoking experience. In education, the College of Charleston's criminal justice program developed a course titled The Harrington Case, Anatomy of a Modern Crime. This course became one of the most popular electives, attracting students from various disciplines. It examined the case from multiple angles: legal, psychological, sociological, and technological, providing a comprehensive understanding of the complexities involved in modern criminal investigation. The technology sector also felt the ripple effects of the case. A group of software engineers in Silicon Valley, moved by Amy's story, developed an AI-powered background check app called Amy's Guardian. The app used advanced algorithms to cross-reference public records, social media profiles, and other online data to verify a person's identity and background. While it raised some privacy concerns, many saw it as a necessary tool in an age of digital deception. Local law enforcement agencies across the country began implementing what became known as the Charleston Protocol, a set of guidelines for handling missing persons cases involving suspected fraud or identity theft. This protocol emphasized early interagency, cooperation, and the use of digital forensics. Lessons learned directly from the Harrington case. The mental health community also felt the case's impact. Therapists reported an increase in clients seeking help for trust issues and relationship anxieties following the case. This led to the development of specialized counseling programs designed to help individuals navigate the complexities of modern relationships and rebuild trust after experiences of deception. In the world of true crime media, the Amy Harrington case remained a subject of intense interest. Numerous books, podcasts, and documentaries continued to explore various aspects of the case. The art world continued to feel Amy's influence. The Amy Grace Harrington Foundation partnered with major museums across the country to create internship programs for aspiring curators from underprivileged backgrounds. These Amy's Proteges programs aim to diversify the art world and create opportunities for talented individuals who might otherwise be overlooked. In Charleston's historic district, a small plaque was installed near the apartment where Amy had lived, bearing a simple inscription, "In memory of Amy Grace Harrington, whose light continues to shine." This unassuming memorial became a spot where locals and visitors alike would stop to reflect, leave flowers, or simply pay their respects. As social media continued to evolve, the lessons of the Harrington case took on new relevance. Schools began incorporating modules on digital literacy and online safety into their curricula, teaching students how to verify information and protect themselves from online deception. Many cited Amy's case as a powerful example of why these skills were so crucial in the modern world. The case also had a lasting impact on the wedding industry. Couples in Charleston and beyond began to approach engagements and wedding planning with a newfound sense of caution. Premarital background checks became more common, and many couples chose to extend their engagements to allow for a deeper getting to know you period. Wedding planners in the city even started offering verification services as part of their packages, a sign of how deeply the Harrington case had affected societal norms. In the world of finance, banks and investment firms implemented stricter verification processes, partly in response to the sophisticated fraud perpetrated by Alan Ed. This led to the development of new technologies for identity verification, including advanced biometric systems and AI-powered anomaly detection. The case also sparked a renewed interest in local history and genealogy. Many Charleston residents, inspired by the importance of knowing one's background, began delving into their family histories. This led to a boom in genealogical research services, and even the establishment of a new wing at the Charleston County Public Library dedicated to family history resources. As the 10th anniversary of Amy's disappearance approached, the city of Charleston announced plans for a permanent memorial, the Amy Grace Harrington Center for Trust and Community. The center would be a multi-purpose facility, housing resources for victims of fraud, educational programs on digital literacy, and a museum dedicated to exploring the impact of the case on the community and society at large. In the end, the legacy of Amy Grace Harrington was complex and far-reaching. Her tragic case had touched lives far beyond the boundaries of Charleston, sparking changes in law enforcement, technology, education, and social norms. The Amy Grace Harrington Center would stand as a testament to her enduring impact, a place where the lessons learned from her story could continue to guide and inspire future generations. Thank you for accompanying us on this journey. Your support is invaluable, and we look forward to bringing you more stories and uncovering hidden aspects of life in our upcoming videos. Remember, knowledge and vigilance are powerful tools to help protect ourselves and our loved ones.